and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the only board game review show to have received accolades from all 49 states. And what's more... What's that? No, I don't recognize Missouri. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like Indiana Jones-type adventures? Do you like Indiana Jones-type hats? Today we're going to take a look at Secrets of the Lost Tomb from Everything Epic. Lost Tomb from Everything Epic is a game for 1 to 6 players where you take on the role of adventurers going into some kind of ancient tomb. This is a game, of course, that draws heavily from the Cthulhu mythos, but just general pulp fiction stories from the 40s or thereabouts, kind of an Indiana Jones type adventure, and a few other things as well. But essentially, you're each going to take on a character that represents one of these kind of iconic figures. You may be the British general, you may be the machine gun guy, you may be the lady with the 45. There's all sorts of different characters that you may be in this game. And of course, they're all based on that kind of pulp fiction trope. The game is filled with scenarios. There's a lot of different scenarios. You pick a scenario. And typically, scenarios will end when kind of your clock, your gear, reaches a certain number. And that usually triggers your end game. So what you're going to do is you each get, in addition to your card that says your player, it has their stats on them. It has kind of their knowledge, their mythos, their strength, their dexterity, and how many die you're going to roll there. Well, you're also going to place a little kind of instrument on board that kind of has a dial to track your health, that has a dial to track your audacity, which may help you at times. But also it's going to help track your courage. You put a little peg in here which says where your courage is at any time. The greater your courage is, the more advantages you're going to get. If you're getting kind of the negative of courage, you're going to get some disadvantages. You may also get some starting items, some weapons, or just some handy little things to take along with you on your quest. The game recommends you select an expedition leader, and this is almost kind of a game master, but he's also kind of a player as well. He is a player as well, but he's going to be the guy that's going to be doing kind of the lion's share of the bookkeeping, so probably the most experienced player is going to take on that role. Now, as you're playing the game, essentially you have the adventure phase and then the tomb phase. And I got to tell you, probably my favorite Batman villain of all time was Tomb Phase. Anyway, how the game works is after you've selected your scenario, you're going to go ahead and set up kind of the starting tiles. Now, the starting tiles are, there's 3 of them that kind of form a hallway, and then you have 2 kind of off to the side. Now, I'll tell you right now, this mechanic is very, very much like Betrayal in the House of the Hill. How you build the tomb is very much like that, because you have a stack of tiles, and the different starting tiles have a little symbol that tells you you can place another tile next to it. So if you go ahead and you want to move through there, and of course you move as an action, and for your actions you have 3 little bullets that say, what your action is. You take turns doing the actions, and if you move on one of your actions, you can move up to your movement range. You can flip over a new tile and place it where you want to go in. But once you place that new tile, suddenly the tile may force you to stop and resolve things. You may have to roll to see if you get a curse from the tomb. You may have to draw an adventure card and have the person next to you read an adventure, which may have positive consequences or negative consequences. Or a misadventure, which is kind of the same thing, only bad if the room is red. There may be certain traps that happen in this room, and you have to roll the die to get over them. So you never know what's going to come out with these different rooms, and you, of course, have to try to use your die rolls in order to get through it. Typically, you roll successes on 5s or 6. You roll you roll a number of die equal to the number of, say if you got three dexterity, you'd roll 3 die. And then you'd get, for every 5 and a 6 is a success, but generally you're only looking for 1 success unless it specifically says you need more than 1 success. Now, also, too, you're going to be spawning monsters periodically. And these monsters are going to come up, and these things are cards they're going to put in their own little standees. And they have stats. They may have, armor. They got to get past in order to inflict damage on them. They're going to have their own attack values that are going to come into play. But you can try to take these guys down, or you can try to evade them. Usually you're going to be rolling your dexterity dice, but you never know. And you may just not have the strength or the weapons in order to kind of inflict damage, so you may want to get out of there. Now, you can also search rooms that you are in as an action. Now, you each have these triangles that has a green, a red, and a yellow spot. Green is the easiest, yellow is a little harder, and red is the hardest. And what you're going to do is you're going to look at a little table that is provided, and you roll the die, and if you get successes, depending on which part of the triangle you are on, you're going to look at that row, and that's going to tell you what's going to happen. Again, green, you might get some good stuff. Yellow is probably going to be a little bit more dangerous, and red may be most dangerous. Now, during the tomb phase, you draw a tomb card. Now, there's green tomb cards and red tomb cards. You can mix them together. The red are harder, the green are easier. So, for your first game, you probably just want to do the green, but you could do green, combination green and red. If you're just going to do the red, that's probably going to be pretty tough, because that's going to give you a lot of information. The expedition leader is going to read the expedition card. You may advance the dial there toward the number that's going to trigger the end game. And then, of course, you're going to move the monsters. They're going to move toward the nearest player with the idea of attacking him. Of course, when they find him, they will initiate an attack, and these things can be deadly. They can inflict damage on you. Depending on the rooms, you may be spawning creatures that, of course, you'll have to deal with. If ever you get to so many creatures, I think it's like 10 on the board, then you automatically start moving up that clock there toward the end game as well. You're also going to rotate your little search triangles as well. There's a few other things you're going to do here during the upkeep phase as well, and then you start again with an adventurer phase. Now, typically, once you hit that number the scenario calls for, the boss creature is going to emerge. And these, of course, are big, powerful guys. And then it's really a question of if the heroes are defeated, then you lose the game. It is cooperative. But if you defeat the big bad guy, then you win the game. There may be some other little kind of rules here or there in the scenarios for victory conditions as well, but generally that's kind of how the game is played. There is a lot more going on in Secrets of the Lost Tomb. I'm giving you a very, very brief overview of this game. There is so much going on in this game. And I'll tell you right now, that's a good thing, and that is a bad thing. First of all, let me address... this game is very, very, very derivative of other games that have come before it. I mentioned Betrayal on House of the Hill. The way you're building the tomb is right out of Betrayal on the House of the Hill. Nothing new there. The kind of the theme and a lot of the ideas and some of the dice checks and whatnot feel very much like Fortune and Glory. Certainly it looks a lot like Fortune and Glory in that regard. But I think maybe the game it resembles most is Eldritch Horror. Even Arkham Horror, but I would say even more Eldritch Horror. Again, you're rolling a number of dice, you're scoring successes on 5s and 6s. It's very much like Eldritch Horror. There's also cards you can get that are attached to your character that can be good or bad, called status cards. And they're kind of like the condition cards in Eldritch Horror. Very, very similar in that regard as well. The game, the components look good. It's generally a good-looking game. Thematically, of course, it owes a lot to Indiana Jones. It owes a lot to H.P. Lovecraft, and so again, it's very derivative. The tool that you track the dials on and the courage, it kind of looks good, but it's a bit much. I think they probably could have come up with a better tool there. It's one of those things that looks good, but it's kind of sliding around, doesn't really hook to the card too well. So it is what it is. So the question is, where it is so derivative of these other games, thematically and mechanically, is it fun? Is it a good game? Do these different ideas mesh well? Do they kind of create something new? And is it a fun game? Well, I'll tell you first of all, I said there's a lot of stuff going on here. It's fiddly. This is a fiddly fiddly game. Very fiddly. Not a big fan of fiddliness. You know, you need it in some games, but it's very fiddly. That's kind of a minus. The more time you are doing upkeep and status and stuff, is the less time you're really having fun, I think. And there's a lot of that in this game. One thing, too, I should mention about this game is the rule book. At least with the copy I got, it says core scenario book on one of the booklets, and then it says rule book on the other. And yet, the one that says rule book has the scenarios, the one that says scenarios has the rules. So that was kind of weird, and you kind of scratch your head over that. It's just kind of odd. And the rule book is not terribly well written. It's so dense because there's so much going on here. There's an index, and that's helpful, but it's just not the best written. It's not the worst written rule book I've ever read, but it's got its problems. It's got some major problems, and we were kind of stumbling through it a few times there as well, the times we played it. Is it fun? Again, is it fun? Yes. Yes, it is. This is a fun game. I enjoyed this game despite the fiddliness, despite it being so derivative. I think it's an entertaining game. I think it's a fun game. I think this is a game that, if you are a gamer and you buy this game, I think you will enjoy it. I think you'll have fun. I think there's a lot of replayability here. I think there's a lot of really cool and interesting concepts. And the problem is, the trick is to kind of balance this against that fiddliness. And if you don't mind the fiddliness, if you'll work with it, I think you'll like this game. Now, one other point I want to make, though, is this. If you're somebody like me who is invested in Eldritch Horror, and you play, Eldritch Horror, and you like Eldritch Horror, I don't think you need to pick up Secrets of the Lost Tomb, because this game, the feeling I get from this game is very similar to the game I get from Eldritch Horror, and as fiddly as Eldritch Horror is, it's less fiddly than this, and I think it just gives a better game, a more thematic game. Again, too, even the adventure cards in Secrets of the Lost Tomb, they work the same way as the cards do in Eldritch Horror. It's very similar. You read the top part, and then you get a pass or a fail down below. And so I'm just like, well, if it's so derivative of Eldritch, I'd kind of rather play Eldritch. But if you're somebody who is not investing in Eldritch, or Arkham, for that matter, check this one out. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a fun game. It's not a game you want to jump into with people that don't play a lot of genre board games, but people that like these kinds of games, check it out. I think you'll have fun with it. I think it's a fun game because it is derivative, because of the fiddliness, and because, as I say, if you're somebody like me who's heavily invested into Eldritch, and I don't think you need both of them, I'm going to say try it before you buy it. It's a positive try it before you buy it. I think this game's successes outweigh its failures by a good margin. But be aware those failures may really bother some people. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. We are The Discriminating Gamer, and if I'm perfectly honest, I really kind of wish that this game was Victoria Secrets of the Lost Tomb. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.